This channel is supported by my online fishing courses at saltstrong.com/Skinner, as well as my books, including my latest book, Fishing the Edge, Techniques and Tales from Surf, Boat, and Kayak. Hey, the books make great Father's Day gifts. You can learn more at johnskinnerfishing.com and on Amazon. Yeah, good morning. Just an unbelievably beautiful morning. Nobody out here yet. I expect to find some topwater bass. That's just what's been happening. I'm going to look for weakfish at some point, and maybe I'll try some fluking. I don't know. That's the fun part about this time of year. All right, we'll see. Oh, this is going to turn out to be a trip that I never forget. So, all right, hey, look, I started out looking for some topwater stuff, which basically it's so calm. All you need to do is shut the motor down and listen. They just weren't there. So I'm going to set up on a rip and work on bucktailing some fish, but I'm pausing a couple times through this bucktail fishing to look with my binoculars into the area where I think I might see some topwater stuff, and we'll get there. But first, we're going to do some bucktailing. And I'll have links to all of the gear in the video description, and if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And this is Eastern Long Island. And you can't tell because I haven't hit the rip yet, but the current speed here is between 3 and 3.3 miles an hour, so it is really moving. Basically, I'm making a cast parallel to the rip. I'm starting in about 20 feet of water, coming up a slope to maybe 10, and then it's going to drop down to 30. And with that current pushing that hard, it's kind of interesting. The fish are going to be a little back farther than they usually are. They're going to be just... I'm not really doing much casting parallel here, just getting into the rip. So yeah, so basically you just saw my first cast parallel, letting that 1 ounce bucktail sink to the bottom. As soon as I feel bottom, I give it a couple of cranks, let it sink to the bottom. As soon as I touch bottom, I give it a couple of cranks and repeat. All right, so now I'm just hitting into the boils, throwing slightly up current, and just watch the rod tip. You see I'm waiting, trying to find bottom. Waiting. As soon as I see that little tick, pick it up, and we'll go from there. Okay, this is 2 drifts later. I didn't get one on the second drift. Now, cool thing about this kind of bucktailing, it can be a little different every time. I've been doing well casting parallel to the rip and, you know, drifting down current and hitting them like that. But what's happening on this trip, I'm already making one cast before you see this cast. And then I'm going off the edge, I'm seeing the mark, and then I'm casting up current past that drop, and then I'm just letting that bucktail hang. I'm not reeling at this point. I reel when I feel bottom, otherwise I'm just letting it hang, and it works. Yeah, I've got the barb crushed on there. Comes off, fish comes off really easy. You know what? You catch more fish with the crushed barb with a hook like this, because the hook set's going to be better. All right, so I'll show you the run up current just to see how far it is that I'm running. See what a full drift looks like. All right, I'm going to talk over this last bucktail fish to explain what's coming up. Okay, so if you watched my previous video, my brother and I got into a whole bunch of fish on top that were just incredibly picky. I mean, we threw all kinds of stuff at them. Managed to get some. I had one that was 41 inches on a small pencil, so we did okay. But for the number of fish that were up there, and they're just on the surface slurping really tiny bait, and boy, they don't want to hit. So on a subsequent trip that I haven't posted yet, I'm not sure I'll get to it because I'm getting a lot of content. I tried a lure that I use in Florida for redfish, and it was lights out. And that's what we're going to get to make. Because what's happening on the end of these drifts, I'm not showing it on video, but I'm pulling out my binoculars and scanning the area where I'm hoping I'm going to see some surface fish. And I will see some birds come up, and then we're going to run over there and do that. But yeah, so the lure is, it's only 3.5 inches, and I will show how it's rigged because that will only take like a minute and a half to show that and the knot and everything else. But yeah, that's where we're going after this fish. And this, I think, this was 6 drifts I made here, and had 5 fish. And let's get the lure and the rigging out of the way, and so you know exactly what I'm throwing. And I will have a link to that lure and the hooks in the video description. Okay, so here's the lure. This is a 3.5 inch. It's called a John Skinner Mossy Mullet. That really refers to the color. It's what I use for like so many things in Florida. The hook. These also came from Salt Strong. Owner makes some nice ones. 1/8 ounce 3/0 swim bait hook. Very simple rigging. It's this nice little needle thing here. Screws right on. And then there's a slot. Just bend it back, put it in the slot, and then push it through. And there you go. And that's it. That's the whole rigging. And ideally, you want this on a loop knot. The knot is very easy to tie. Basically, you start with an overhand knot. So you've got this guy here. You take the end, put it through the hook. There we go. And then through that loop of the overhand knot. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And put that end right through. And if that's not clear, you can just Google it, and somebody will probably show you a better job than what I did. But you know what? There you go. There's your loop knot, and you just cut off that tag end there, and you're ready to go. And yeah, that's very strong. I use this all the time in Florida. Tarpon, doesn't matter. Big fish holds very well. Yeah, if you watch my Florida videos, this is what I use it for. Redfish, snook, and trout. It's an unbelievable lure. But if you don't watch my Florida videos, you probably haven't seen it before. All right, now these fish are nowhere near as concentrated and intense as when my brother and I had them on the previous video. So you're going to see me. I'll just show the clips where I'm, pulling up on a school. I don't think I get one on this cast. I've got a few fish there. But you'll see as I pull up on these schools and make a cast, even though the fish are kind of dispersed, they eat it, they hit it. And I say that with some amazement because I can't express how much frustration we had on that previous video trying to get them to hit so many different things, but this just works. And the outfit is what I use for redfish, snook, and trout down in Florida. That is the Dark Matter Skinner inshore rod, and the reel is the Tsunami Evic 2000. It's spooled with 15-pound braid, and I keep it on the light end because this lure altogether probably weighs 1/4 ounce. So you don't want to be using heavy line with it. So it casts far enough, especially in this situation. And I'm starting that retrieve pretty much right after it hits the water, and varying it a little bit. Here he is. I'm going to switch to a different camera angle in a minute. You'll be able to see the cranking hand, so you'll see my retrieve speed. All right, next cast. See, I had to take my camera off my head because I thought I splashed the lens there. Better one? So there probably are plenty of other soft plastics of this profile and size that will work. I think that one of the keys here is that swimbait hook. Like I said, that's a Florida thing for me. I did not even bring them back to New York. The only reason I have them was because Salt Strong had sent me some for a different lure, actually. And so I just happened to have some, and I was pulling my hair out trying to figure out what these fish might hit. So I don't normally use a very light, this is an 1/8 ounce swimbait hook here. All right, hey, this is where we get to see the retrieve. Now, the fish we've been catching in this area are generally schoolies, some slots, a decent number of those, like 28 to 31 inches, a few better ones up to 35 inches. As I mentioned, had a 41-incher on the previous video. The waters have been cold. If you were to get one over 30 pounds here, that would be quite unusual at this point, the stage of the game. And if you were to get one, I wouldn't expect it to be on a lure like that. I would think, a flutter spoon or something, but, well, you never know. It feels like a better one. Yeah. Like a big redfish I have to hold away from the mangroves. Oh, he's not hooked properly or something. Well, there's rope. Oh, it was rope. Yeah, there was a strange vibration on the line. It just popped off. You'll see a piece of junk hanging off the line. Basically, he had gone to the bottom and got me around something for a bit. That's a 30. That is easily a 30 pounder. That's more than 30 pounds. Yeah, I got a little messed up there. I kept him in the water while I got him out of the net. 48 inches, 41.5 pounds. So look, I took the camera off my head and put it on the leaning post, and now I'm going to tow this fish. Yeah, I mean, the water's nice and cold, 57 degrees, so he's going to do just fine. But I can't show the release because I've got the camera is in one hand. It's not on my head. And I am not going to just let go of this fish. I want both hands on it to make sure he gets off okay. So I'm going to have to put the camera back on the leaning post before I let this guy go. But oh my goodness, what on earth, hitting that tiny, tiny lure. This is one of the biggest fishing surprises of my life, to catch a fish that size on that tiny lure. I mean, just really, unbelievable. Yeah, and unbelievable, I mean, for the location, for the fact that it's May 9th, it's so cold, and on the tiny lure, so just so many surprises there. And that was the last cast I made for stripers. I really wanted to go look for weakfish, go fluke fishing. So I hit a couple spots. It's like two main spots for weakfish, and I hit them both. And it's one spot here. Look, that sure looks good there. Couldn't do anything with it. And by the way, I do use the mossy mullet up north, and it's for this. I use it as the teaser above the diamond jig for weakfish. That works great. That was the reason I had the mossy mullets in New York in the first place. But I didn't even have swimbait hooks until I was sent some. Yeah. Oh, so then I went, tried for fluke. There were no weakfish. I tried for about 45 minutes. And you're seeing my fluke results right here. Now, the last time we were out, we actually only had one sea robin. We had a dozen fluke. But this time, I had like 4 sea robins and unfortunately 0 fluke. And I had really nice drift conditions too. So I don't know what was up with that, because we did have some fish. But All right, hey, you know, this trip was an example of you just never know what that next turn of the reel handle is going to bring. And so I got to tell you, that's a trip I don't forget, that fish like that. Oh, so a couple of things. So that fish took 4 minutes to land exactly. You can check it on the video. Because you know you always get you get a big fish like that. People always make comments. Oh, you got to use heavier gear. You're stressing the fish. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know how much less time you're going to get that in. 4 minutes, pretty quick. If you know you're casting, it hits on the end of the cast. You know, so yeah, I've got a tight drag. That rod is deceptive. I've caught big tarpon on it, and you know, so it can handle a fish like that. It had a that tight drag on the 15-pound test. Yeah, it was able to get it done. And in a perfect world, I wouldn't have grabbed them under the gills, but I would have grabbed them by the mouth. Just couldn't. You know, I thought he was going to fit in the net. He didn't, and then his mouth was planted in that net. I had no access to it, so I got him the only way I could. But he swam off just fine. I revived him nicely, and yeah, it's swimming out there now somewhere. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's inspirational and that you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Check out my online courses at saltstrong.com/Skinner. And don't forget my books, which make great Father's Day gifts. You can learn more about those at johnskinnerfishing.com and on Amazon.